Hello everybody, thank you so much for coming back for another video. Well, today I want to do a word study, kind of what we talked about doing in the last video, and the importance of not just taking two verses or just a few verses out of the Bible and thinking that that is the all-inclusive teaching about a subject, that we need to go back and look up other verses and do word studies. So we're going to do that today, and we're going to study the name. What does that mean, the name? Well, I want to read the two verses that have been circulating in some of our churches and have only been given just a minimal amount of teaching. Let's look at Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 and 17. And it says, referring to the beast, "And he causes all, the small and the great, the rich and the poor, and the free men and the slaves to be given a mark on their right hand or on their forehead. And he provides that no one will be able to buy or sell except for the one who has the mark, either the name of the beast or the number of his name." So we're going to do a word study on what God considers his name. Because, see, there's two kingdoms at play here. God told Adam and Eve to subdue the earth. Why did he say that? What, were those furry lions that were vegetarians and were like big cats? Did they need to be subdued? Did cougars, leopards need to be subdued? They weren't meat eaters. They had nothing against man. How about bears? No, it was not the animal kingdom that God was telling Adam and Eve to subdue. It was that the beast system was already on the earth. Some call it a kingdom, the beast kingdom, which is Satan's kingdom. Some call it an administration. Whatever you want to call it, it's been here since the beginning, because right now it seems like people are a little bit confused about whether the beast is here or the beast system. Well, God wanted to make sure we weren't confused about that. It's been here since the garden. That's why Adam and Eve were to subdue the beast system. They had authority over it. When Eve voluntarily aligned herself with the beast kingdom, Satan's kingdom, the red dragon's kingdom, Satan's, the devil, whatever you want to call him, when she disaligned herself from God's kingdom and realigned herself with Satan's kingdom, and then had her husband Adam do the same. Now see, Eve was deceived. Adam willfully disobeyed. He willfully realigned himself with Satan's kingdom. You notice the curse did not come into their bodies or onto the earth until it was Adam who sinned, because he had the most authority. You don't need to go to seminary to learn how to do a word study. So I'm going to take you through the word study on name, because the beast is giving people his name. We're going to find that out. All right, now remember, God is spirit, so is Satan. God is the blessing of the law, which is a boundary for us. Satan is the curse of the law. Now, let's take a look at Genesis 48:16. There's many verses that you can use to study what the name means. And we're going to start with the Old Covenant. We're going to learn the Hebrew. Because really, you can take the book of Revelation and you can lay it over as a template, the book of Genesis. Because Revelation has always been happening. It's not written in chronological order. There are snippets that, yes, there are things that happen in order, and then there's another snippet, and those things happen in chronological order. But these things in the book of Revelation have been going on since the beginning, when the earth came under the curse. This is why the book of Revelation gives us an extra blessing if we will read it or hear it. Okay, so let's take a look at Genesis 48:16. We're going to learn a little bit about the name. And it starts out, we have Jacob, and he is blessing Joseph's two sons. And he says, "The angel who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and may my name live on in them, and the name of my father, Abraham and Isaac, and may they grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth." Okay, so God's kingdom is working to fulfill this promise to his people. Satan's kingdom is working to fulfill this among his believers, his followers. He's always been trying to do that. We see that all throughout the Old Covenant and the New Covenant, because the book of Revelation has always been here. The concepts taught in the book of Revelation are for our good, and they reveal what has always been going on. Okay, so now let's do a word study on the word name. We're going to just study the Hebrew today. And it's the Hebrew word pronounced shame, and it's 865 times. And it means a position, a mark. Oh, the name means a mark. That's interesting, isn't it? Or it's a memorial of individuality, honor, authority. So it's a mark of authority. A name is somebody's authority, their fame, their renown. Oh, now this is interesting. A monument. What? You mean the word name can mean monument? Oh, yes. Okay, so we're going to talk about that in just a minute here. So now, what we learn just from that verse and what you know as a Christian, God's people, his believers, God puts his name on us and in us. We have his authority. We go in his name. We are called by his name. Well, Satan is doing the same thing. He is putting his spirit, because remember, he is spirit just like God is spirit. He's putting his spirit on people and in people. And he'll even do it deceptively. Now, here's something interesting that really is highlighted in the book of Deuteronomy. When you read the book of Deuteronomy, you'll see this right away. God called his temple in Jerusalem his name. Well, of course, because we just learned that it's a monument. It can be a monument. That's one of God's descriptions of the word name. All right, so let's look at Deuteronomy 12:11. "Then it shall come about that the place in which the Lord your God will choose for his name to dwell, there you shall bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, your tithes, and the contribution of your hand." Keep that tucked in a back pocket there. "And all your choice votive offerings which you will vow to the Lord." Okay, so you'll see this over and over, especially in the book of Deuteronomy, where God calls the temple in Jerusalem, and even back at the tabernacle. But we're going to be thinking about the temple, and there's a reason why. He calls his temple his name, and his presence was in his temple, in his name, his monument, and surrounding. All right? Let's take a look at Proverbs 18:10. "The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and they are safe." Now we have a song even revealing this. So you see, we understand this. The temple is called God's name. Okay, so God's presence is in his name, in his temple, on his temple. His temple is a monument. Well, as you know, the believer's body is the temple of God. His presence is in us. His presence is on us. All right. Well, Satan does the same thing for his people. His presence is in them. His presence is surrounding them because Satan is spirit. Both God's kingdom and Satan's kingdom have many workers that come from the spirit realm. when Satan fell, he took with him spirits, angels of every rank, seraphim, cherubim, archangels. Okay? In the same way he has principalities in the second heaven, God does too, to protect us and help us. I'm trying to hold you back from getting the mark of the beast because it's being offered and received voluntarily, because people are not understanding what this is all about or what's going on. I hear often, well, my pastor hasn't told me this is the mark of the beast. Well, there's reasons for that, and this is causing a lot of confusion. Okay, now, let's go back to Revelation 13:16. And he, the beast, causes all, the small and the great, and the rich and the poor, and the free men and the slaves, to be given a mark. Okay, let's stop there for a moment. That word given, it's the word didomi. It's a Greek word. It means offered. Remember when Jesus was being tempted in the wilderness by Satan? He offered Jesus all the kingdoms of the world. Why? It's because he owned them. God is just testing his people because the reward is so great. So you see, just like Eve was offered and she accepted the fruit voluntarily, God's people, sadly, are being offered this injection and they are receiving it voluntarily because they are lacking understanding. They're lacking knowledge because it's not being given to the body of Christ. But there are many of us on YouTube, on the internet, through blogs and Facebook posts, and there's many Christian medical professionals who are teaching us this. Many are not medical professionals, but they're saying this stuff is not good for your body. But the problem is people are believing the beast system, which is a government. Man's government has always been a beast. We saw one government for a short period of time under David. And then even he sinned, didn't he? Because man cannot be trusted with government. All right, so we've got all these Christians believing man-made government. They are voluntarily, they're not believing God's word. They're not being good Bereans and studying. They're not seeking out the truth. All right, so now it goes on. They're offered a mark, and it says on their right hand or on their forehead. Well, that word on, when you do a word study, it is the Greek word epi, E-P-I. It means in the direction of, toward, in the space of, through, throughout. Okay, so now I want you to think of something that's kind of common in our culture, and that would be an EpiPen. All right, so let's say I'm allergic to strawberries, and I just can't resist. They smell so good. I eat some strawberries, and within minutes, my throat starts swelling up. What would I do? I would go get my EpiPen. I would stab it into my thigh and count to 10. Within moments, the substance that was in that vial is distributed throughout my body and goes to the area that is manifesting the allergic reaction, is swelling up or itching or making boils or whatever. Okay, well, so too is this recipe that is in this current vial that's being offered to people. And yes, deceptively, because just like the serpent in the garden was very deceptive with Eve, he got her to receive it voluntarily. That's what's happening. All right, so now it says that this mark, this name, this memorial will be in their right hand or in their forehead, in the direction of, toward. That is because it has always been the desire of Satan to go into God's temple and commit the abomination of desolation, which means to throw out his throne and set up his throne in God's temple. That's what's being done. This is why so many of your loved ones, they'll get the recipe that the beast government, administration, system, kingdom is offering them, and they become this walking billboard. Oh, you should get it too. Oh man, it put me on my fanny for 7 days, but you know what? I went in for that second dose. All right, you guys. Have they become a walking billboard? Well, unlike the polio and the smallpox recipe, this one has advanced biomedical nanoparticles in the vial. This is not like any other substance being injected in the body. All the manufacturers have admitted this, okay? They rolled it out, warp speed. Same with those towers going up everywhere in our neighborhoods, in our cities, even out in the countryside. These tall towers, you know what they're for. They were rolled out warp speed also. It's because these nanoparticles, they are self-assembling through a Wi-Fi signal. See, they don't need to put a chip in you anymore, a fully assembled chip, and make a slit and put that in you. They don't need to do that. No. Your brain is wired like a computer, hence the Brain Mapping Initiative and the millions of dollars that were given to that project and is still in play. So, our brains are wired like a supercomputer. So this is why a computer geek has gotten into the virus industry, because he knows how the brain works. So these nanoparticles in this recipe, just like an EpiPen, put into your body, it's spreading. That's unlike any other recipe in the past. It's spreading to the body. It's self-assembling through Wi-Fi signals coming through all those towers in your town. And it's rewiring. Oh, what's in your forehead? Oh, what's towards your forehead? What's in the region? Oh, just like the word epi, toward, in the direction of, through, throughout. That's what it means. It's rewiring people's brains. Okay. I'm going to end there, but I'll take another video and we'll do some more word studies because they're easy to do. I realize many of my listeners are busy young moms. God bless you. And I know you don't have time to do this, so I just want to, kind of get you started. But there's many verses that have the word name in it. So that was just one small word study we've done today. It was very easy. You've got the tools at your fingertips. If you need some help on, how to look those up, I'm happy to help. Get in touch with me. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye.